trunk of a tree, and as I take the pressure off, it'll get thinner as it goes up. Let's put another, so that maybe not a huge tree, maybe more a big winter bush, and just taking some branches away. Generally it's a bare winter tree. On the other side of the road, nearer to us because it's much more dominant in tone. Now, if this picture works, and I hope you'll try it, what you'll find is that these darks in the foreground, as soon as you start painting them, will push the midground away, and the midground, with a bit of luck, will have already pushed away the distance. This particular picture could go on for miles, so you could use the lighter tones much further away, but you'll find that this is a really interesting way of learning how to create distance in your pictures, and also it possibly will stop you getting dark too quickly. One of the major problems with students is they very often will use the same tones in the foreground as in their background, and the whole picture becomes flattened. What we'll lose is what we've called in this business aerial perspective. So there we have a tree sitting behind the right hand side, and we better have a couple of birds in the sky. I think there would be birds out. So this could be a snow scene. I haven't put anything in the picture to perhaps indicate that it's any other season, and a couple of birds flying away up there. Anything else we can do? Well, you can play around in the foreground, put in all sorts of sticks and things in if you want. If it's snow, then you might want to leave it looking fairly, how can we put it, fairly loose, unfussy. Maybe a couple of fence posts would help. So I'll put a post by there, maybe a post down there, another one further down, and perhaps link them together. Maybe a bigger one up here, nearer to the dry stone wall. And then we'd have an idea that there is perhaps the edge of a road, and off it's a break in the dry stone wall going down. But that seems to looks to me fairly effective, so I'll call that one finished, and I hope you try it. It's a really good way of painting tonally, practicing tonally, and reserve. There we have, wet that off like that. And so we've got that piece of dry stone wall pointing down the hill. Tones on it are darker than the foreground, the midground and the background. I'm going to use some fairly dark marks here now, with there's a mixture again of blue and brown, just to get some little pieces of, this is a fan brush, and I'm just lifting up some little pieces of perhaps grass or something that's showing above the thing, just a little bit of banking standing out there. And then on the other side we could perhaps have another bit of banking that may be sitting in front of just some other bits of grasses or whatever, sitting in front of what may be the other side of a path or whatever. We don't know. Maybe, yes, maybe I'll put some other piece of dry stone wall here, so I'll do the same principle as I did before. Blue on quite thickly, and running off, getting smaller as it runs down this hill, and then some bits and pieces of brown in there, so we get a mixture of colours mixture of tones, and then back to the razor blade to put some coping stones on. Now this time the light's still coming from the right, so I'll try and make the coping stones look as if they're being lit from the right. I'm not too worried as they go downhill, but they're going to get smaller. So there we are, we've got some bits on the top there. We now need to do just a bit of scraping on this wall just to create some bits of interest in there. We can always darken this when we scrape. If it doesn't look quite right, we can always come back in and do some darkening later on when it's dry. But this will give us a feel that there's something happening by there. So we've got 2 bits of wall. Just clean away some of this water. Once again, with a thirsty brush, I'll just pull some bits away up to the wall as if there's been perhaps some snow moving around, just some bits and pieces of shadow happening there. There we go. So the wall's running downhill. Now on the top of the coping